Representative DeGraaf now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. I think the problem overall is imposed by the four governor appointees of the PUC and the green programs that were imposed by the General Assembly. So I think we're feeling the fallout of that. I think we're forming energy policy around what my colleague to the right of me reminds me is the equivalent of 1/2 of one drop in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools full of drops. So something she dared me to say. Or 0.001 degrees Celsius by a wild overestimate of the consensus science. But anyways, power is life. So this reliance is literally a matter of life and death, as we've talked about with the people that are literally, and then cattle and everything else. So this should drive us to redundancy. But it seems instead our focus is on stretching transmission lines to far-flung solar and wind projects. The mitigation, commendable. These mitigation efforts seem more of a Band-Aid fix than a fix for a lack of redundancy. So last year, the PUC, and when we were discussing my bill on grid resiliency, the PUC advised against briefing the General Assembly on the fragility of the grid, because if we knew how fragile it was, we'd want to fix it, and we don't have enough money to fix it. And yet here we are talking about the fragility of the grid overall as a whole. So I think it's kind of ironic. But perhaps it's a misunderstanding on my part, but it seems like these communities are fed by a single source over a less than resilient path instead of having that redundancy. Critical infrastructure should be resilient. What is Xcel? So I want to know what Xcel is doing to improve redundancy instead. So given that building new transmission lines to remote renewable sites takes over 12 years and costs more than $2 million per mile, according to the Colorado Electric Transmission Authority study, why is Xcel continuing to prioritize these far-flung solar and wind projects, which the Lazard's levelized cost of energy report shows are not cheaper once transmission factors are costs are factored in? And why not look at focus on improving redundancy by constructing things like small modular reactors on the existing power plant footprints that have been decommissioned? And it seems like the lack of which is the lack of the redundancy is causing the reliance on power to be shipped in from one far-flung locations instead of having more local, redundant, and resilient power.
Mr. Kinney.
Thank you for the question. I would maybe start by saying we are investing in the resilience of the system. Mr. Salazar referred to the basic blocking and tackling, replacing bare conductor with covered conductor, replacing small diameter wire with larger diameter wire. We are not against a small modular reactor, and we have the experience in Minnesota of running nuclear power, and so we think that is a fair part of the generation mix to be discussed. So I wouldn't say that our system is necessarily fragile, but it does require additional bolstering, and that's part of our wildfire mitigation plan. And so we are looking at strengthening, hardening, making the system more resilient. We do have redundant processes, particularly on the distribution side of the business as well. I'd also add that, actually I lost my train of thought.